Why doesn't Santa's personal trainer pay rent? Because he's always squatting. And they don't get any better than this.
Created live on Fireside.
Welcome to Athletic Definition. My name is Coach Ray Z, and this is the special Merry Fitness edition. This is Merry Fitness special series, day 2 of 31, Merry Fitness extravaganza. Today we're going to be talking about overthinking during the holidays. And this is a show you're not going to want to miss. We're going to be discussing it on a deeper level than I would say you see on most shows. I looked up a couple articles today. I read them. They give very general or cliche information, which I think we kind of all know but don't practice. But before we continue, today's shirt of the day is aliens with Christmas gifts. This is one of the many Christmas outfits I have, and the show is about basically trying to spread the joy of the holidays and showing you a different outfit of the day. And of course, the reason you all come here is for the Merry Fitness puns. As you can see, the set is looking very peppermint condition. Oops, wrong one. Why doesn't Santa's personal trainer pay rent? Because he's always squatting. And they don't get any better than this. Santa, as you know, this is my third year doing the show, trying to prove to you, sounds like I got an Amazon package. This would be perfect if I actually planned this, but I didn't. It's actually the doorbell. And it is probably not Amazon because they keep knocking. Perfect timing. I've never had this happen during a live show. All right, that's fine. Yeah. All right, so Santa, getting back to my plea here. I'm doing all the right things, walking old ladies across the street, kissing babies, being nice to everybody, never throwing things. I don't even drink, Santa. This is my third year doing the show, trying to prove to you, trying to prove to the ghost of Christmas past, present, and future to leave me alone and do not bother me that I've changed my ways and I'm a good person. So please let me get a gift this year. Moving on. I want to talk about overthinking during the holidays. As I mentioned, I read a couple articles today and they just gave very basic general advice, which I think we all know but don't actually practice. And let me see if I could kind of wrote a couple down. But it's, nothing really, I would say, life changing. It's like watch less news, which I think we all know that helps us think about whatever's going on. Taking less social media, another one that I feel is kind of generic that we all do. Now, it is good because we do need to be reminded of them, but I don't know if this is something that you could read and you could actually apply it and actually start taking effect right away where like, yeah, you're not overthinking as much. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. I appreciate the support. Basically, one of the things that I've learned from working out and getting all this discipline is that you can feel one way and act another, meaning you can feel like you're not going to work out or don't want to work out and act another and go out and work out. And sometimes you have to do different things to get yourself out the door. And sometimes when everything's going wrong, as Les Brown, and I'm paraphrasing, says, sometimes you lose and lose and you keep losing and you lost everything. And no matter how much you're working, it just doesn't seem to be going your way. So it's hard to be positive and have positive thoughts or even think, hey, I'm going to be rich or anything like that. Say positive affirmation. So one of the ones he says is just to say it's possible. And it's possible, I think, is great. I use it all the time. It's like a nice pattern interrupt. I feel it's possible, the possibilities of things bigger and better. And, you know, overthinking for me personally led to many years of just negative thoughts and self-doubt and second guessing myself and questioning myself and asking myself, well, what were to happen if I actually would have pursued it or pursued it sooner? I can't dwell on that, but I realized that, just for example, this podcast, it was stirring in my mind for 10 years, probably 15 years. And all I did was overthink it. What if I'm not good enough? Which, when you start off, you shouldn't be good at, but you just overthink it and overthink it. Could have probably have a bigger show, but just the overthinking for everybody's a little different on how they deal with it. I saw and looked up articles. I didn't really like it, but Les Brown, as I said, I like the It's Possible. And then I read the David Goggins book, You Can't Hurt Me. And I'm going to kind of quote a little bit what he says. He's running and he's working out, and he says that people see how much working out he does, and they think that he's running away from his demons. And if you've read his book, this guy, Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, 100, I don't know, like 60 ultra marathons, Ironman. So he's like, trust me, you can't outrun your demons no matter what. They know where you're hiding. So if you haven't read the book, I highly recommend it. He actually has if you're looking for a gift idea, he has a new book coming out December 3rd. Just a couple, I think tomorrow actually. Yeah. I already pre ordered it. It's called Never Finished. Looking forward to reading that book. And he just talks about, like, if anyone knows about you cannot run your demons, I would say David Goggins is the guy. So if he's saying you cannot run them, he says, and I quote, the only way to beat them motherfuckers is to look them in the eye and to make them your bitch. Mindset is the only thing that gets you through hard times. Well, when you're suffering physically, emotionally, or spiritually, sometimes until you get, and trust me, David Goggins is a perfect example, but not everybody could be David Goggins. So what about a different way to get over the negative thinking? And I found this YouTube TED Talk. It's been seen 36.3 million times, and it's called Two Easily Remembered Questions That Silence Negative Thoughts. And the people there or there to learn how to have better thoughts. But this guy was talking about actually silencing them. He had a PhD. He basically was like taking beer and psychotic medication and all these things just because he said for years he dealt with those voices, telling him negative stuff and making him like driving him crazy that it was a horrible existence for him. Yet he was very intelligent, and he didn't actually believe that he could silence those those thoughts. He actually, because he had meditated for so many years and never actually was able to silence them. So he started talking. He read two books. I can't remember them, but I'll put the YouTube on the show notes if anybody wants to watch it, or you could just YouTube it. It's called Two Easily Remembered Questions That Silence Negative Thoughts by Anthony Mediver, and it's TEDx Docklands. Very good. It's maybe about 13 minutes. And then he talks about these Sanskrits, and basically he memorized Sanskrits, and then two of them, and two words or two sayings, and one of them are my thoughts useful, and how do they behave? And he just kept saying those until he said one day he actually didn't think it would work, but they became silent. And he says he still, of course, has thoughts. We all have thoughts, but it's just about maybe. I always push physical exercise. I'm big on physical exercise. I know that won't work for everybody. And sometimes the overthinking will lead you not to work out because, maybe you have a complex of people are going to look at me at the gym, or they're going to think I'm too skinny, or I'm too fat, or I'm too overweight, or whatever you want to call it. And then you actually won't do it. Different ways to look into neutralizing them, because there's people, I can't remember the medical term, but there's people that actually don't think about the past or present. So not everybody thinks like you. Not everybody thinks the same. So some people are going to have to learn to deal with things differently. And I thought that this is a good way to do it on the show, because during the holidays, I know a lot of people get depressed, and overthinking could actually just ruin the whole holidays. And some people have more time off during the holidays because they have long vacation times. And then that overthinking just leads to ruining your time. So I thought I would share some of my personal experiences that I've had to overthinking. And I mentioned the podcast, how about 10, 15 years, this idea was just brewing. Now I could say for the last couple years, I'm actually going for it. Who cares what people think? It still bothers me, or not bothers me, but like nervous, to be nervous. And then to, like, say, practicing jujitsu, you're put in uncomfortable situations, but you do them so often that you kind of start getting used to being in that uncomfortable situation, and it becomes less uncomfortable. And I have Chris Rossetti coming up. Chris, welcome. Merry Fitness to you.
Hey, Mary Fitness. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Good. This is episode 2 of the what, 31 days of Merry Fitness.
Fantastic. I just wanted to address something you mentioned real quick, if I may.
Sure.
You mentioned overthinking and you mentioned exercise and what will people think? How do I look? As you know, because you've come to my broadcast a few times, I go to a football field here in San Francisco at a local college, and I do stretching exercises and also swim in one of the fitness classes 3 to 4 times a week. But before I did any of that, I used to sit outside the football field and look down on the football field from a hill and think to myself, I wish I could work out, but I don't want people to see me. I'm embarrassed. You know, a guy on a mobility scooter, I can barely walk, I can barely get off the scooter and back on the scooter. I have to crawl to get back on the thing. I'm going to look like an idiot besides just the physical appearance, embarrassed about how big I am, et cetera. And I just said, I can't exercise. I kept overthinking that. And then one day I finally said to myself, who cares? I finally said, who cares? Who really cares? And, because I was overthinking. What if someone's going to video me, this large guy struggling to get up and down off a scooter and stretching, and what if they video me and I become like a meme or become? And I thought, who cares? And I went down there and I started to do it, man. About, oh, good grief, it's been 4 months now. And now I go out there and stretch and I do the best exercise. And I've actually walked that football field 400 yards. I walk 50 and then stop, then walk 50 and stop, walk 50 and stop, et cetera. And I swim in the pool. And I have football players that come out and practice on the field because it's their field. And I've had football players come up and say, man, you're an inspiration to me. And I'm like, sometimes you have to just say, who cares? So that's all I want to say.
I'm glad you came up here, Chris, and shared that story with us. And yes, I do hop on your show, and everyone should check it out. Antidepressant, 5 days a week here on Fireside. And I love the fact that you're willing to put yourself out there and get on the field. And you've told me a few times, I'm just, stretching, and the little things like that is what, for everyone's going to be different because everyone's in different chapters of their life. So, it is just about basically saying, who cares? Because if you really think about it, if you do nothing, 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, you're going to be most likely in a worse place. Usually things just don't get better.
So thank you very much. And thank you for your encouragement and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. And yeah, like I was mentioning, you're better off just doing something, or you're just going to be in a worse place in 6 months, a year from now. So don't even wait for the new year. Start pursuing what you want to do, whether it's physical, financial, emotional goals for the 2023. And I want to, before I wrap it up, so you get that? See what I did? Rap, not like a rap music, a gift. Never mind. I'm going to leave you with a quote from Yeep Man, who was the trainer of Bruce Lee. And he said, we all have inner demons to fight. We call these demons fear, hatred, and anger. If you do not conquer them, then a life of 100 years is a tragedy. If you do, then a single day can be a triumph. Yeep Man. Thank you everybody for joining. Coach Ray Z, I'm out.